Hey everybody, it's Chainsaw Reacts back once again, another video for you guys. Today, guys, they have started officially shooting on HBO's The Last of Us. We have our first official image from the set. Well, we don't see too much, but we see enough to know what they're shooting. And here is the first official image. We have Pedro Pascal, Gabriel Luna, and Nico Parker, who was just recently cast, of course, as Sarah, Joel's daughter, of course, played by Pedro Pascal. As we can see with this photo, we know clear as day what they are shooting, and if they're just now starting to shoot, they're starting off with a very emotional moment in the game, and this is going to be crazy. Now, people are making jokes that Nico is not going to be on set for long. There's been some people theorizing that maybe they're going to expand on the story of The Last of Us game in the show, and maybe more backstory, maybe just more story within the actual game itself, you know, during the events of the actual game, and where they explore more story that maybe the game didn't do, trying to do something a little bit different with this show and not just doing a carbon copy and paste from the game story to this story being told on HBO for the series. I'm not really sure, but this is awesome. Like, I like this cast. I think this is really interesting. No word on Bella Ramsey, of course, who plays Ellie. Whether or not she has started shooting it, my guess is not yet. But I'm excited for this show. I am. I have high hopes for this show. Now, I know The Last of Us Part 2, which is something I wasn't really that interested in. I actually bought it months ago during last year's, what was it? It was kind of weird. Like, it wasn't really like a Black Friday sale, because they were like having Black Friday sales all of like the month of November or for several weeks or whatever last year. Due to everything going on, they were just having sales for weeks on end, not just for one day like normal. And I bought the game for like $30. I haven't gotten around to playing it yet, but you can't deny, regardless of your thoughts for The Last of Us Part 2, you can't deny The Last of Us, the first game, is iconic. And I guess I would consider it a classic. It's such a heartfelt and a very dramatic and dark and just sometimes insane story. And I love it so much. I love that first game. And so when they announced this, I got my hopes up. I'm like, okay, this may be great. Don't know yet, but I'll say this. The casting's on point in my opinion. I think they've casted this thing very well, and I think they're going to deliver something pretty cool. Now, I'm not going to be judging the series based on how they adapted the game story. I'm going to go into this, hopefully, this show, with the idea of they're telling an adaptation. Things are probably going to be different, and they should be different, because if they do a carbon copy and paste, I'll watch it, but I will not praise it because they're just copying what the game did. I want them to experiment, do something a little bit different, maybe tell some parts of the story in a different way, or approach it a different way. Do something, because in order for this show to succeed, you have to have those elements, of course, from the original game, that storytelling, and have it be a part of it. But in order to succeed, you have to do something different. You can't just do a carbon copy and paste with all this. But with this first image, they're at least sticking pretty close to this opening scene that really sets the story in a very, just like, I'm not even sure the words to explain, because I wasn't expecting the opening scene like this to play out in the game as it did. And I'm like, this is a way to open it. Holy shit. Like, I was not expecting it to go this way, but it got really dark and it got really emotional, and it set me up for something truly special, in my opinion, with how they opened up the game with this particular scene they're going to be shooting here. So I'm curious how they're going to handle it. I'm curious if there's going to be any changes. I don't know this for sure, but I think it would be interesting if Nico was somehow, like, had more to do as Sarah before the moment happens, before everything changes for Joel. But who knows? They may just have it to where the game establishes this is how important, because Sarah is important to the story, but there isn't a lot of her in the story. But she's important to the story. So I'm wondering if they're going to play it as, if we give her more screen time, it may be more impactful when the moment happens, or we stick with it being the way it is in the game, and we have maybe a little bit more of that scene, those scenes drawn out, but ultimately this is where it ends. This is where the story gets to that point early on still. So I'm excited for this show. I'm excited to see a trailer. Obviously, they just started shooting, so we're not going to see a trailer for quite some time. But the fact is, it is real. It's happening. They are shooting it right now. So instead of hearing about casting and they're in development, it is now in production stage. They are now shooting. So we've gotten to the next step of the process of making a television show. So what do you guys think of the first official image? What are your hopes for this show? What did you think of The Last of Us, the first game? What are your thoughts about Last of Us Part 2? Because my assumption is they're going to continue with, of course, potentially a Season 2 if this show is successful. Because they're not doing The Last of Us for one season or a limited series. They're going to try to do more. So would you be up for that? Or are you in the sense of where they should just kind of cover the first game and that's it? Or should they tell more story? Because there's a time jump in between 1 and 2, so maybe there is some story there that can tell with this show that we never saw or maybe you heard about, because I'm not sure how much is actually talked about in The Last of Us Part 2 in terms of the stuff in between 1 and 2, but maybe there's some story to tell there to lead up to maybe getting to Part 2 if they wanted to, but who knows, right? But what do you guys think of the first image? What are your hopes for this show? Are you excited for this show? Are you kind of on the fence? Do you need to see a trailer, which obviously is a long time away, but do you need to see a trailer before you're convinced whether the show's worth your time or not? Whatever thoughts you have about this, let me know in the comment section below this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video, comment your thoughts, and hope you guys are having a great Friday. Talk to you guys soon. Peace out.